Let us start our day with your 5D mystic, woo woo lady here. For those of you who don't believe in mystics, stick around though, because we do self help, personal development, and it's fun, but it's also meaningful. For my 5D mystics, come over because 4D doesn't know what they're talking about. And you're going to have a much more enjoyable time as a true spirituality person who can enjoy your clairs, you can enjoy your oversoul, not do any of that saga. But we're going to get to there's a difference. Okay, so here's human love narrative. We don't do the suffering bit. If emotions are too hard, there are good therapists out there. You come back when you're ready to reclaim your inner child and to heal your inner child, to bring your inner child adult. So here we do emotional awareness, accountability, and self-regulation. So it's I want to do personal development, yay. And if I am needing extra support, I know it and I can still do personal development because see, it's always something that depends on you, that radical acceptance, transmuting this. So why don't we do human suffering? Because I know I'm attachment trauma informed. I know a 0 1 year old. Her name's Maria, and she's independent because I got lucky. I have a twin, and I got to share my primary caregiver and know I'm not defective. So that's why, thank you, said Guru. Who you are should be established by the way you are within yourself, not by what you do. So I know how to be myself, and that's why the inner growth mindset helps you to be you. But radical acceptance is not unhealthy boundaries. We've talked about that. That's going to be seen as something where I get to be the evil bitch or the evil witch for those who don't want to be the authentic self. And that they don't want to get their 0 1 year old in the forefront and they don't want a secure attachment figure around. So they want a secure attachment figure around. They're okay with being able to support themselves through life as they walk on one leg. You see, once you choose to stick to your temporal junction, that's the dark side of neuroplasticity. You can wire yourself. We read about that in one of our yesterday episodes, neurosciences. Not making shit up from my butt, but people find it hard to believe and they like fancy words like emotional intelligence or emotional mastery. So we do that here. Intelligence is the one they use. I like to say mastery. You can master the depths of the emotional plane, and I know all about it thanks to Daniel Siegel, Stephen Porges, Peter Levine, and actual science people, not people who say yoga brings demons out of you. Yeah, yoga don't bring no demons out of you. He doesn't know of Peter Levine, nor does the person who spread the rumor about demons, and nor do any of the people who still spread rumors. So we have 3D, 4D living ancient times, and they want to tell us that we're woo woo, the mystics over here, or that we're evil witches, which we're not. And really, the ones who are yelling about having been witches, well, they're not on a true spirituality journey either. They are on an Elsa journey. So, Elsa journey is for people who like a story. And again, human love, we accept all people. So, when I meet human suffering love, I like to hear their stories because a siren is not anything more than a person and a mermaid was made up and invented. Later on, the sirens were the only thing that existed. So, we don't have to do this whole let's make stories up and keep them fixed in stone because here's an adolescent adult brain with an inner child adult brain is me, an integrated brain. So I have a 3 year old, 1 year old, and my teenager, but guess who's leading the show? This left and right mode of human being speaking to you. So when Sadhguru shares, this is another quote where our life is supported. So the body, the emotions, the mind is to support life. He uses the word life. I like the essence of life and love. That's what you are. Use your human name though. I love Jesus. 5D is Jesus stuff, Christ consciousness. So again, some people they want to use their ascending 5D, but then you see them not knowing how to walk a walk and talk a talk. In fact, they think radical acceptance means I got rid of an energy vampire yesterday. You know what? I met a dark aura. Really? You know what? I got rid of negative people. Really? That's interesting. Huh, I think you need a good EMDR, child parts work, and somatics to get out of that trauma stuff where you're carrying it around and just, your tolerance, I get it. You don't have it. Well, how about you do work and stop talking shit about people that were in your life? Like, this is something I talk about people that frustrate me, yes, but I welcome all. In fact, I have only told one person, and I learned how not to do that. I will not talk to you ever again because you dissed our friendship, and it took 5 years before they were in the shithole. They came back around because I was their only friend, and I said, look, here's the deal. We sat down. Okay, so this is a true story, by the way. I'm not kidding. Okay, we welcome all, but not the ones who want to be lazy, emotional people. I hope that's clear. We understand. I totally get it. I'm attachment trauma informed, and I'm a divine feminine, so I also know Well, we're going to leave that one alone because, again, I don't want to speak out of term. So, radical acceptance is when you have integration of the brain. And that means that you know how to be a secure attachment figure for yourself, to learn to self regulate and get out of a default mode network that scans self and others. That's that Isaac and Abraham personality types that the rabbi, I learned all about this, and then Jacob. So, you want to become your own Jacob, inner growth mindset, neutrality and duality, not projecting your emotions or thoughts as if they were irrefutable truths ever. No, ever, never say never. Let's not exaggerate, right? So, the practice of getting soft in your brain with thoughts and emotions, I got to do it all by myself because no, by myself, no. My first year, I always forget. Need to remember, I have a twin and a mom. I learned how to regulate in what you have to your ventral vagal nervous system. I got lucky and I got Jesus, and I didn't have this me talks. No, fact, as a teenager, you're out, you're out, you're out. And I didn't tell people to their face. I just didn't become friends. And then you grow up to become a 40-plus-year-old woman and you get to meet 50-year-old plus human being, men, women. Yes, let's just say the story was told. We won't repeat it again. But saying no is something very easy for those of us who know healthy boundaries. We also know how to become flexible about those things that we want to say, okay, let me say maybe, or let me pause. Let me pause and think about this. So that's how we train our 3 year old, our 1 year old, and our adolescent attitude, okay, to take a pause, to balance out, and not to act like we know everything because we know one thing. Every one of us has emotions. Okay, so we all have this embodied brain, which is why when people say, I got rid of someone, it's like, really? So that some people, they don't have space because, see, the thing about having space is that you have to have self confidence. Self confidence means that I know how to do this always, which is what we get to learn here, and I just stay here. That's it. There's no me talks. When you know how to use your left and right, there's no me talks because you're not suppressing emotions. You're not using self soothing mechanisms. You're not using any agents. You're not lying. You're not doing Cusco or an Elsa journey. You're not doing codependent, low self esteem, and direct communication, passive aggressive, not knowing boundaries. And what else is there? Well, there's other stuff. Let me get to the topic so I can use some examples. Okay, so examples are, again, I'm attachment trauma informed, but these are voices, stories, perspectives. You want personal development? Ask Maria, paid subscription based model content. You want one to one? I take serious people. So that means at least a year of your time. This is how I'm going to pose it right now because there is one to one, but master class is going to come eventually. But I don't want to work with people who don't want to do themselves, meaning do your emotional, mental, grown up self. And it's a really interesting journey, and it's one that it's important. So if you are serious, great. If not, it's okay. You can have fun here and get a little bit of info for free, right? That's how it works. I'm an online marketer, by the way, but I don't do those crappy sales pitches because, that's objectifying. Yeah, and it's also dehumanizing and it's dumbing down things as if people are stupid. I won't ever treat you like a stupid person. And I get told a lot of times I'm stupid because I am woo woo lady and I go in this systemic analogical round around round. I don't do linear. So people who use left primarily and they're talking over you because they don't know that they're left and right. So emotions and thoughts, but once they gain presence, self awareness, and they're like, oh, I'm sharing a floor, and you find that in healthy self worth human beings. So I have found bunch of buttload of beautiful people that we have stories with. Okay, so when they accept themselves and I accept me, we're in good company. So it doesn't matter if I'm a human love narrative and they're a human suffering. Doesn't matter if I'm a 4D or 5D or 3D. Okay, so 4D though and 3D is not here. I need to spell that one out. And it's not anything against 4D or 3D. I just thought they would get out. But then I realized we do have flat earthers. So, it is what it is. And as Bill Nye says, if you want to keep trying to prove that the Matrix is something, go ahead. You're not going to be able to prove it. And I had came to the same conclusion a long time ago, but not of the Matrix, just in general of a lot of things. So we stay grounded in human stuff. Okay, so let's get to that example. Your secure attachment, and that means you using your prefrontal cortex. To those who teach attachment, for coaches that do this thing, it's boring to be securely attached. Really? I'm going to say no, not really. Because once you get out of whatever that intermittent limbic system shit happens, you're like, wow, neutrality and above is really nice because I'm consistently in a nervous system that is regulating, and that is in, let me think. That's right, my social engagement system, which is the truth. When I can radically accept myself, this is how it happens. It happens because I have said inside my heart, when somebody says you're a piece of shit and it's not personal, I didn't get teenagers that did that, but basically there are plenty of teenage stories that have, it's not personal. So you learn how to harness this, the heart, the gut, and the brain. They call them our three brains because they have these ways of wiring. I forget how they explain it. And that's where, when you're in alignment with your inner world, it's because you do not have a shame button. There's no hidden content, meaning that you react in a way of, you know, people who are alone, they have to do a lot of things alone. They're always alone because, people have a life. So they can't come and make a life with you because the only people who make a life with you, yeah, well, that would be for the monoamory, one human being. For the polyamory, not one human being, but we coordinate depending on what we want to establish in the long run. Because, see, that's where relationships, we have secure connections and then we have secure attachment relationships. So, secure connections are what we tend to build where we're going to be there for each other. There's that song, right? I'll be there for you. No, no, no. There's another one too that I keep on forgetting, but it keeps on wanting to pop out. So I'll have to look it up. It's on the tip of my tongue. But when you can be there for people, as I personally have, and any one of you who's empowered and has space, you are consistently knowing that those who don't get a hold of their 0 1 year old, they don't become their self. Tomorrow we have an inner child episode on the audio version alone. If you're curious, go subscribe to Spotify, Amazon Music, you name it. But there are some of IHP content that is only audio, and then there's some that are video. On YouTube and Spotify, you can see the video versions. So, on that note, as I was saying, your 0 1 year old is your embodied brain. What I have understood is people say, well, since they told me I was doing a good job, I'm not going to journal or do mindfulness. I'm just going to say people are fucked up. That's a person who chooses to stay suffering in here, not reclaim their 1 year old who wants to be seen, to be soothed, to feel safe, to feel secure. Now, it's true that we learn to regulate thanks to each other. And so, getting out of a dysregulated nervous system for a person who did not get securely attached, which we talked about yesterday, is that journey that we were talking about. But a person can easily do that with their willpower, and that's because they're people like me. So, they can do personal development and self help. And if I notice that they need more, I'll be like, look, you might need more. But the therapists have all told me, you'll know if you need more. And really, the only reason you'd need more is if you begin to become aware of there being potential consciousness barriers and memory barriers. And that's a side note. And I know exactly what I'm talking about. It's called there's not a good relationship with those 6 basic emotions, and a person will know. They will know their temperature. They will know because you have a certain number of years before you go and come to anyone, right? With the I want to do this journey. So, people are aware of their behaviors and they're aware of good information, no pathology, no understanding it. So we have Dr. Daniel Fox, expert in personality disorders. We have our lovely Patrick Tiahan, childhood trauma survivor healing therapist. They're both online and they offer great free content. You'll know exactly how to work with yourself, and they will also tell you how you want to, one, not, diagnose your own self, but go and get an official from a good therapist. But if that's the case, don't worry, it's healable. Like Janina Fisher says, your behavior, no pathology, understanding it, getting out of the shame. That's exactly, we're here for you all, the ones who want to get out of it. Because we'll say, hey, I'll tell you to your face if you're pissing me off, but don't worry. Because my tone is, you and I are on the same plane. You're a human and I'm a human. Use your name. I'm going to use your name. I ain't going to use any of that yesterday or any of the things that other people will, oh, look what you did. You did this. You did this. No, no. I will actually be the person who says, I know you can get out of that stuff if you say, I want out. And if you show, and usually people are healing, they want out. They want balance. Okay, so here's where balance is at. Secure attachment, restorative embodiment, integration of the brain, very possible for all people that want to get here. And here's what happens to the people who say, no, but life, and they stay in the 4D, 3D, and they stay in basically what is this adolescent 12 to 24-year-old energy, but it's going to go eventually. Because, see, when you do that, your body is in a biochemistry of distress, not eustress, because you're not learning how to harness the neutrality and above, because it's boring, apparently. Okay, so putting all of other stuff I could do at the end, but I'm not going to, that I could add. I'm just going to conclude with this. When you hear people saying, that person over there, they're so old, their life, it's all a plateau of beautiful moments, and they've built everything and they get lucky all the time. Can't they, get a little unlucky? And you're like, wow, that's amazing how many people don't realize what they're doing. So here's the spice of the life that I can share with you as a 5D mystic in the enlightenment soul age group and a functional adult with my integrated brain and a secure attachment. And again, as a channeler, what I'm going to say, we are fragments of each other. It's in also the description. And I don't even know, I don't know what to say, because the reality is any person that's teasing a human being because they have a good life, they can have the same good life. And at the same time, I know soul age group. So, there's this thing where I got answers in my brain already. So I'm going to leave it alone. But I'm going to say to my lovely community, you have a choice. You get to choose if you want to fizzle out and then, grow and think that you're badass when you're not. But, again, side note, and you can come over here and feel the depths of the emotional plane as an actual and see badass. I already knew as a kid, and as I was getting older and older, I'm like, okay, that's not badass, that's not badass, and that's not badass, that's a movie, and that's a movie, and that's it. And as I got into noticing, so the brain structure is very important, because our biochemistry, again, we have an adolescent 12 to 24, and I got out of my limbic system by choosing how to, this doesn't make any sense and it's not really fun. And there's a lot of things that don't make sense. Okay. So your radical acceptance is a unique journey. It's beautiful to be yourself when you choose to understand it from an attachment trauma perspective, for one, with mysticism, a 5D mystic, for two, because true spirituality is a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. So we are consistently supporting our herd. It's a human herd. And we know that self-regulation, again, comes from, I'm lucky. I started life with a mom and a twin who gave me the capacity to be here sharing with you why it's easy for me to do emotions and thoughts. You can get here too. And then for those who have more room, we hold that space to be a safe haven, secure base. And that means a secure attachment figure who will remind anybody that comes near us who wants to be near an authentic, healthy self-worth, woman, man, or might they be, your body was supposed to get this. Your brain was supposed to get this too. And that is where the magic, it's not magic though, it's love. And so here's the part of where our oversoul, it's with always great pleasure that we are around all people that are physically safe. Unfortunately, no, physically safe, keep them in the prisons. We get to go and support them with good therapy. They have a Michael Stone forensic criminologist scale, 1 to 22. I always surround all of them with my magical powers with therapists, and so do the human suffering love. Get surrounded by therapists. So do the shame cycle people, inner critic, outer critic, drugging, fucking, alcoholing, and whatever other self-soothing mechanism, which is bad for their health. And then they, ditch out and do it over again. They stay numb. So all those people are surrounded with everyone who's in human suffering love narrative land. They all get surrounded by therapists. And when I see them teasing somebody who's really lucky, and I want to mention something about, you get what you put out. But then again, what you put out, that's a very vague sentence, right? So it's more of what you're vibing, and it's deeper than that, which is why no sales pitches here. This is not a sales pitch. No, it's an in-depth conversation. So it's not small. We all use words. I use a lot of words in many different ways, and I already know it's going to be misunderstood, imperfect. But you ask me questions, I'll say, well, let me think. What did I mean? Hold on a minute. I need to go back and figure that one out, and I'll come back and tell you. Okay, so we have a lot of stories, a lot of fun. Welcome, but we welcome all people Like Jesus taught me, I walk with all walks of life. I learned how not to cast a stone because we're flawed and imperfect together. But as a herd, we can say, hey, you know what? That tone, you mind working with that? Yeah, let's work on it together. What's your plan? No, the plan that you got for dealing with the personality disorder we were talking about yesterday or the childhood trauma. What's the plan? How do we work with these triggers? How do we measure the temperature? So when somebody's really motivated to get to the depths of their self, believe me, they're gonna be like, yep, I want to do exercises. I want to do mindfulness. I want to do journaling. I want to be around healthy self-worth people. I like to do what is radical acceptance the human way, which is living a life of meaning and connection, because we all want that. For the ones who come near us with their crutches, they're going to be their own crutch because we're going to hear them. And so they're just going to get older, and we're going to be standing straight as old people all together. And we get to say, wow, now that one, what can I say? Life gives to life always. Whatever it is that you're going to get, and it's not that straightforward. So again, remember, personal development, self-help, the entire world, we come together to support it. That's a whole different topic. I'm not talking about worldly events on this channel. I'm focused on saying you can be you and to put the stuff to the side once you're alive. I'm alive, like a real boy, real girl, real day, because you have access to your integration of the brain capacity. Thoughts and emotions are yours, self aware, accountable, all of it with the behaviors. And you go and you can share, all 3 year olds with the 1 year old can share a floor. It's called conscious lovers. In fact, we have compersion, not jealousy. Jealousy is for those who are still envious and spiteful because they have low self esteem. And like the people who were teasing, they weren't, I don't even know. One was a family member. So yeah, it seemed a bit like we all in the family basically look at our family member who's always got luck and like, why does he get it all? Well, and I know the people. So yeah, I know exactly why. It's amazing and it's beautiful because he has a really great life. And the difference is one navigates secure attachment. The other, well, again, adolescence. Did they look cool to anybody? I remember one person looking cool. And as I got older, I began saying no. And then I got older, and I was like, wow, no. And all the ones who did look cool, I'm sorry to say, the grown ups told me. And I remembered what they said. And as I got older, it turned out to be true. So, with that being said, let's be supportive, kind, compassionate, loving. We'll be back with more. Have a great day. Like, share, subscribe, and that way we can get to our 1K. Remember, we have Ask Maria. Those are opinionated columnist episodes. So it's like Dear Abby, but you say Dear Maria. You send an email, and that's for now only on the audio version. But once we get to 1K, we'll have membership, and that'll be our first option. And for 5D Mystics, come on over if you want any support, as Mystics have a very beautiful path, but 5D. The 4D, they just talk to you about the same stuff over and over and over again. So that's good to have because you need that information, esotericism, the astrology, all of it. But once you have the clunk of it, you're like, okay, I'm a human. There's more. I know there's more. And so that's why we have a lot of different things. And our oversoul. Yes, the oversoul is really unique, I must say, with twin flame and flames and soulmates. And yes, Kundalini awakening and spirituality awakening. So to be continued again, if you're a mystic and you are wanting something for you as a member, subscribe. Let me know once we get to 1K. We will discuss together in emails and vice versa, and I'll create content that can support those of you who are looking for that. And I have plenty of tools that we can use, channel guidance, tarot, and the Akashic record readings, that's more one-to-one, but still, I will evaluate because I know that there's different ways that we can support each other to walk the path, and it's in a way different way than what I see the people that are not connecting. They have mantles. They're on Elsa's journey. They're having fun and they're not getting home to their 3 year old. So the first thing is you getting home to your whole self. When your inner child gets to be present as the adults, it's not leading you, where thoughts and emotions are not irrefutable facts. Nothing is an irrefutable fact unless you go and get the data point. Okay. So this is very important because a lot of people, I'm a mind reader. I see the few. Yes, keep it to yourself for now. Anyways, we'll be back again with more. Thank you.